Okay, we're here at a home today. We're gonna get ready to measure this window so we can order the new windows and get those on in production. And then when they come in, we'll be able to do the installation. So in order to measure this window, the best thing to do is to be able to open it, because not all windows can be opened. But if we can open it, we're gonna look at the trim. This window does have trim on all four sides. So I'm gonna start there. Go over to this side and I get a measurement of 31 inches. That's the inside wood trim. Now I'm going to look at the outside, and this window has an aluminum clad, so it's a wood window with aluminum clad. I'm going to measure the outside. I'm going to go all the way out to that surface and all the way to the right surface, and I get 32 inches. So what happens out here, if you look at this piece, this is an aluminum stop. This aluminum stop is going to be cut with a Sawzall during the installation process, and this will go away. These jam liners, these are plastic jam liners. These plastic jam liners get removed and these will go away. That will leave us a nice solid wooden frame behind here. So with this gone and the jam liner gone, we'll be able to push the new window up right to this interior piece of trim. And so the window will set here. We'll do a nice caulk bead all the way around on the inside. And then on the outside, we'll be able to spray expanding foam sealant all the way around and then do our aluminum capping and flashing. All right, so we have the width determined. We know it's 31 here, 32 out there. So we're going to order a window that's 31.5. So a ½ inch bigger than the trim, ½ inch smaller than the outside. That ends up being 31.5. We're going to use a very similar logic doing the top. I'm sorry, the height. So I lowered the top sash. I'm going to push the blinds out of the way a little bit. I'm going to put my tape measure right up in there and come all the way down. And the measurement is 45 3/4. And on the height, I like to subtract 3/8 of an inch. So 45 3/4 makes a new window 45 3/8. And then I'm going to double check one thing here. I'll do it on the trim. So now I'm on the trim. And the trim is 44.5. So by going 45 3/8, I know my trim will cover the edges of the window. Okay, push that back up. All right, so I'll write those numbers down. 31.5 by 45 3/8. Okay, one thing I wanted to mention here at the top of the window, just like we have on the side of the window, we talked about removing this stop with a Sawzall. We're also going to do that across the top. And again, these pieces and the jam liners and these stops will all come off, and that window will press right up to this inside trim. And when I do the measurements, I always want to make sure that we're getting a ½ inch on the width, which is a 1/4 inch on both sides. That gives us enough room for the expanding foam sealant that we have that insulates around the window. And then I want 3/8 to a ½ inch of clearance on the height, again, for the foam all the way around the window. But after you measure the window, since it's hard to get all these windows open and closed on an older house, we can do what we call a reference measurement. So now that I know I want this window 31.5 by 45 3/8, now I can measure the woodwork. This is easier to measure out here than it is to open every window and look at the guts of it. So just by doing a reference measurement, 32.5, I'll jot that note down on my clipboard, and I get here top to bottom, just doing a rough measurement here, 46.5 of the woodwork around the window. Now that's what I call reference measurement. So now I can just go to the other windows, and here's one right here,
And instead of taking all this plastic off and trying to open this window, he has it all sealed. I don't know if you can see this, but he's got this clay putty in there. And that's all to help keep the air from blowing in during the winter. So instead of removing all that for every single window, what I'm gonna do is just do the woodwork here. And you can see I get 32.5 again. So I know this window is the same width as that window. And I'm gonna do the height, 46.5. So that lets me know that this window and that window are the same size, which is very common in the same room of a bedroom. So if I go to another window and I measure it and I get the same width, but maybe the height is 4 inches taller, it's pretty safe to assume that instead of the window being 45 3/8, it should be 49 3/8. It's just add 4 inches. Again, just by doing a reference measurement. So I'm going to do the rest of the house just using a reference measurement, assuming all these windows are the same design.